Alright everyone, in today's video, I want to talk about one of my favorite Warlock builds in the entire game. If you've been paying attention to the channel, I have went over every single best build for each class and all of their respective subclasses leading up to Edge of Fate. A lot of work and love went to that series, so if you haven't given it a watch, I do have a playlist made with all 18 videos. So the build I'll be showing off today is the build that was competing against the build that actually made it into the best build series. However, with additions like New Land Beyond, this build has been turned up to 11, and it makes soloing almost any indie game content a breeze. I know a lot of y'all were asking for the build I used in my solo New Land Beyond GM video, and this is that one, but I am going to be going over one other weapon that I think pairs extremely well with this build that you all probably saw from the thumbnail. But with all that being said, let's jump into what I find to be the most fun, interactive, and synergistic build in the game. Alright, first things first, let's take a look at our main synergy, and first off, we need to talk about Bleak Watcher. So hold to convert your grenade into a stasis turret that fires slow projectiles at nearby targets. We can then come over and pair that with our exotic chest piece, the rime-coat rime-coat, which has the exotic perk of Bleak Domain. Your Bleak Watcher turrets are enhanced with extended range and are surrounded by stasis crystals and a storm. While standing in the storm, you are granted icicles over time. Icicles activate when you fire your weapons, applying slow to targets they hit. So essentially, with that aspect and this exotic combined, you can throw down this stasis turret fortress that is going to, like it said, make icicles and create a storm in the middle. If you stand in the storm, you're going to build up these icicles, so whenever you shoot, you will shoot the icicles as well. These will apply slow stacks, and obviously pairing that with your turret that's already going to apply slow, you can get freezes extremely easy. Now on top of that, since this does make stasis crystals, you can use these as protection, or you could just throw it into a group of enemies, freeze a bunch of enemies, and then with all the shatter damage from the 4 stasis crystals and also just the additional damage from the turret, you can just do a huge amount of damage in one specific area. You're going to be able to spam these literally all the time, so use them however you would like to. If you want to be more defensive, you can throw them around you, use the crystals as walls and build up icicles, or you could use them offensively and just throw them into a large group of enemies and just blow everything up. Typically, that's how I like to use them. But now the reason you're going to be able to spam these all the time is going to be from our other aspect, and that is going to be because of Feed the Void. So defeating a target with any ability to activate Devour. Your Devour effects are improved, restoring additional health and grenade energy. So now whenever you defeat a target with an ability or something like your shatter damage, you're going to be granted Devour. This is going to be the buff Devour because of Feed the Void, and you're going to heal to full on every single kill alongside getting a bunch of grenade energy back. So with this build, you're going to be able to take out large groups of ads because of your rime-coat rime-coat. Pretty much just getting a large amount of kills with that will refund 80% of your grenade energy, if not all of it. And like I was saying earlier, you're going to be able to spam these turrets over and over and over again. I can't stress how good this is, again, for both the defensive point and the offensive point. And on top of getting your grenade energy back, again, you are going to heal all the time and you're pretty much unkillable. But now this is where things get really fun, and this is going to be your weapons of choice. So typically I like to pair this with Icebreaker, but like I was saying earlier, and as you saw from the solo GM gameplay, New Land Beyond is such a good addition for this. You're going to be able to freeze everything with rime-coat rime-coat, so it's extremely easy to hit headshots with your New Land Beyond. So you're going to stack up its exotic perk extremely easy, and this thing obviously just does a ton of damage. You can one-shot pretty much anything in the game. But if you do run something like Icebreaker, every single time you hit an enemy, if you do have the catalyst, it has a chance to refund a bullet, and then also just getting kills in general adds ammo back to the gun. You're going to be getting a lot of shatter damage kills, so essentially you're just going to be constantly refunding this ammo. You can also just not use ammo because, again, you're going to be shooting frozen targets all the time because of rime-coat rime-coat. And you can have pretty much infinite ammo for Icebreaker. It is disgustingly strong, and then on top of that, every single time you hit a frozen target, you are going to cause an ignition. This also can proc if you get a precision kill, but since, again, you're always going to be shooting frozen targets, you literally get ignitions and shatter damage 24/7 all the time. It is absolutely disgusting. I love Icebreaker with this build, but I know it's obviously not the easiest thing to get, so that's why I would highly recommend, if you don't have it, if you do have New Land Beyond, if you wait for the pre-order or just wait for whenever Edge of Fate comes out, this is also such a good pairing because you have an absurd amount of reserve ammo. You pretty much have infinite ammo with this as well, and it can for sure just literally one-shot anything you shoot at. And also, I do want to note, even if you don't want to run literally either of these weapons, you can absolutely pair this with any weapon in the game and the build will still do just fine. I just think it synergizes the most with this, obviously because of all the Icebreaker synergies, but on top of that, just being able to easily headshot targets with something like a sniper. It just plays together so well. But now let's take a look at the rest of the build. First off, start with our abilities. I like running a healing grenade because it does have the lowest grenade cooldown, so that means you could just spam your Bleak Watcher even more often. Definitely take Arcane Needle. This is going to give you 3 melee charges, and this will let you spread Unravel around. Having the melee charges is going to be great because of our fragments, but also Unravel just adds extra damage. You can also make tangles with the build now. I personally like to run Phoenix style, but if you like a Rift, you can for sure take that. Phoenix style just has the lowest cooldown. And then for the super, I run Song of Flame, but you could run any super you want to right here. But once again, I like Song of Flame a lot because, well, 1, it's a very strong super, but 2, it will pair with some of our fragments down below. But now talk about the fragments just like I did in the best build videos. Protection and purpose is pretty much a must. Protection, you're going to get increased resistance when you are surrounded by targets, and then with purpose, every single time you pick up an orb of power, you're going to get a buff based on the element super you have equipped. So with Song of Flame, you'll get restoration every time you pick an orb up, which is obviously very good for your survivability, but you can pair this with anything and it will do pretty well. Now for the other fragments, this is where more of the fun stuff comes in. It is going to be Facet of Ruin. So this is going to increase the damage and size of our shatter on our frozen targets and our crystals, while also increasing the area of effect of our solar ignitions. Obviously, that is going to pair extremely well because we're going to constantly have targets frozen, constantly make crystals with rime-coat raiment, so they do more damage. They have a bigger blast radius. But if you do run something like Icebreaker, your ignitions are also going to have an increased area of effect. So you basically just freeze everything with rime-coat raiment, shoot 1 shot with Icebreaker, literally set a nuke off of stasis and solar damage, and then also just refund all the ammo back, refund all the grenade energy back to just throw it again and keep doing this combo over and over again. And then the next fragment is just going to be Facet of Balance. So whenever we kill multiple enemies with light damage, we get melee energy. Whenever we kill multiple enemies with darkness damage, we get grenade energy. Obviously, we're going to be doing a lot of stasis damage, a lot of solar damage. Now we can just refund our grenade and melee, which we want to do anyway, because again, we want to spam our melee a lot because of our last fragment, and that's going to be Facet of Dawn. So now we get a powered melee hit against a target, we will become radiant, and this is going to be very good because now our guns are just going to be able to do more damage. They'll have bigger capabilities, and since we have 3 melee charges, you can spam these all the time. This is also where Transcendence comes into play, because you can build your Transcendence extremely quick with this, because again, you're doing stasis and solar damage a lot. If you do run New Land Beyond, you're not going to build it as fast, but you still get it relatively quickly. This is going to allow you to spam your Arcane Needles over and over again to spread Unravel, to proc Facet of Dawn. You'll also get your Transcendence Grenade, which can also freeze targets, which again still plays into the whole fantasy of freezing everything and getting these easy headshots with sniper rifles. But just make sure if you do pop Transcendence, at least try to get 1 Bleak Watcher out with your rime-coat raiment, then pop Transcendence, just so you can have that turret on the battlefield ready to go and take advantage of all the other benefits that we've been going over. And now taking a look at the artifacts, specifically with this season, there's honestly not too much that plays into it super well. I obviously would recommend taking something like Defibrillating Blast, so you can get that bolt charge damage on the champions, pairing that with Flashover. It's just very good for doing extra damage to champions, but it's not needed. Obviously, things like King's Vestige is also good. Elemental Siphon's also a decent one because you will get rapid kills in New Land Beyond, or obviously with Icebreaker, so you can make more of the fire sprites, which in return will obviously grant grenade energy, which is good. Things like Vol Weave is decent because you can make tangles. You can come in here and kind of read around on some stuff, but like I said, nothing is like too crazy like you must have to have these. If there was anything, maybe something like Gold from Lead and Dreadful Finisher is just good because you get more special, and then that special can also grant you heavy ammo, because typically I do run double special with the setup, because again with Icebreaker you pretty much have infinite ammo, and then when New Land Beyond you have so much ammo it doesn't really matter what other weapon you run, because you're just always going to have ammo to do stuff with. So again, the beauty about that is kind of like with my other series, artifact perks don't really matter whatsoever, but obviously there are going to be nice additions like the extra damage champions with Defibrillating Blast. Now taking a look at the stats for this build, I know they're not going to matter too much when Edge of Fate comes out, but for right now, if you want to build and play around with it before, I definitely like to take 100 Resilience to get that 30% damage reduction, and then I go into 100 Discipline so I can spam my rime-coat a lot more often. Pretty obvious stuff, but then I'd like to play into Strength just to get my melee up as fast as possible, because again, your Arcane Needle is going to be very nice with this build to spread that Unravel and to proc Radiant. But now jumping into the armor mods, this is what I'm running if you like to copy them down, but as a closer look, I do take a Harmonic Siphon, so Rapid Soul Weapon Final Blows can make Orbits of Power. This is very good if I'm running Icebreaker. Now, if you are running New Land Beyond, obviously you can swap this out for Kinetic, or if you're just running any other weapon, swap this out for whatever element that you are running. Now, next up is just going to be a Dynamo and a Hands-On. Dynamo, whenever I use my class ability in their targets, I will gain super energy, and then also with Hands-On, whenever I get a melee kill, I will gain super energy. As just the assets doesn't really work with this build too much because the stasis turret is not going to really kill enemies, anything of the sort. So that's why I opted to run Hands-On, but honestly, anything here will work. Even Dynamo is like not even the greatest thing. It's good to have, I guess, just to get the extra super energy, but if you want to run something like heavy ammo founders, heavy ammo scouts, you're playing in any team setting, definitely be sure to just throw those on. You'll be good to go. Now for the arms, I do like to run a momentum transfer and a bolstering detonation. So if I cause damage from my grenade, I will get class ability cooldown and melee cooldown. The stasis turret will actually be able to proc these, so you're going to just passively gain melee and class ability cooldown, which is great, so you can spam your grenade all the time. And then also with impact induction, this is going to make it so whenever I use my power melee, I will be able to get grenade cooldown. Since you can throw your arcane nodes quite a lot, this is a nice thing to take. I do want to note that these do have an internal cooldown. It's not like these are just going to constantly proc over and over again, but since the stasis turret is always up pretty much 24/7, every single time that cooldown is up, you're going to be able to proc this again pretty much instantly. Now for the chest piece, always go through resistance mods, just swap these out for whatever content that you are going into. And then for the boots, I do like to take a recuperation, innervation, absolution. Recuperation will make it so if I pick an orb up, I will get health. Pairing that with facet of purpose, you're also going to get restoration since I am running Song of Flame, so that just means now I'm pretty much unkillable if I pick an orb power up. Next up is just ability cooldown base. With innervation, I'll get grenade energy, and then with absolution, I'll get energy for everything. Again, you can kind of spam everything with this build, but mainly you want to spam your grenade, so that's why I opted to take an innervation. And finally, I like to run a powerful attractions, so I can use my class ability a good amount. I get that extra super energy with dynamo, but now I'll also pick all the orbs up around me, which again will play into everything else. Proccing that recuperation, proccing that restoration. It is almost impossible to die. And then proximity ward, so when I go for a finisher, I will get a powerful overshield. And then special finisher, just so whenever I finish an enemy with 3 armor charge stacks, I will get special ammo. Since I usually run double special with this build, be it with Icebreaker or even New Land Beyond, this is great to have. I have survivability if I go for the finisher to get the ammo. And again, between all this and Devour, you're pretty much unkillable. And then for the final part of the build, this is the Transmog I am running. I went for a very fire and ice theme look since I'm playing into Icebreaker. I tried to do it a lot when I first made this build, when rime-coat first came out, but I think this time it turned out a lot better. I'm taking advantage of some of the stasis armor, some of the solar armor, and I'm not exactly sure where this bond came from, if I'm being completely honest, but it kind of has, like candles and fire on it. I think it turned out actually looking pretty good. I got the fire on the shoes. I have almost like the warm stasis crystals that are being made. The chest piece, I tried to shade it as well as possible. This is the best I could get it, but overall I think this does have a better representation of this fire and ice mixture combo. And again, even if you're just running New Land Beyond, it still is a pretty decent look. So if you want to make your Warlock look like this, definitely be sure to copy it down. But that is going to do it all for this build. Let me know what y'all think about it in the comments below. Again, I saw a lot of people requesting that I should put this build together for the best prismatic build. I did make a version of this with stasis on the best build, so definitely be sure to go check all this out. But of course, I had to throw this one together for prismatic because again, the synergies that this build has genuinely does make it one of my favorite builds in the entire game. This is pretty much my go-to build that I run on Warlock 24/7. If I don't know what to throw on, I throw this on. It can cover every champion, do in-game content, has great survivability, super fun to use. It is just really nothing that can go wrong with it. And again, with addition to New Land Beyond, there's another fun toy that you can play around with this build, and I would definitely recommend giving it a shot. But anyway, though, that's going to do it all for me. I wish you all the best of luck putting this build together for yourself. Also, again, if you're new, definitely be sure to go check out that series. There's a ton of great information in there. Even if you're a veteran player, maybe you'll learn something new as well. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you'll have a great day. Peace.